Gotta get mine the fast way. Quick money, cash way, ski mask way. I treat today like my last day. I fuck a bitch from the back, she scream my man's name. Gangway, gangway, gangway. I'm too good for my own good.
Right, kicking it off with the dumbbell lateral raise. I'm gonna show you my favorite variation to grow some big, mean side delt. So let's go. Starting off, I like to set up a bench. The reason I like to set up a bench because it gives you extra stability when you're doing the movement. A lot of people, when they do a lateral raise, they'll swing all over the gaff like this. That's bullshit. Get yourself a bench, set it up on a little incline so you can get some extra stability, right? So I'm gonna sit nice on the bench. Look, I'm a lot more stable now. Naturally, it's harder for me to swing all over the place. So I'm gonna set myself up nicely here, have my arms straight down. What I'm looking at doing with my arms is basically locking them out. A lot of people, they'll do this. There's basically no tension on my side delt, it's all in my forearms. Whereas now, all the force is going through a straight line down my shoulder. See? Right, so arm position ticked off. Now, what we're looking at doing is not raising out to the side. We're actually looking at raising a bit out in front of us while going to the side. That way, your side delt is perfectly lined up. If you come a bit closer and look at my side delt, it's fully contracted in this position. Whereas if I'm further down here, my front delt's on top, right? So out here, everything's nicely lined up. Now, this is probably the most important thing, and that is your elbow position. A lot of people, they'll swing dumbbells above their elbows like this. This is the #1 most common mistake and top 10 reasons why you are still small, all right? So we need to fix that, which is leading with your elbows and your pinky. When I'm raising out, my elbow and my pinky are staying in line, if not above, my index and thumb. That way, my side delt is contracted. Look at the difference from here, where my front delt is on top, to here. My side delt is fully contracted that way, because it's sat on top of where the force is. So I'm raising nicely out in front of me, out to side, locked out arms with my elbows leading the movement. A lot of people, they'll lead the movement with their thumb and their index doing a lot of this shit. All the tension's on my front delt here, whereas simple fix, twisting your elbow out, all down that side delt. All the tension is down that side delt, as you can see. All right, next step I have for you for the dumbbell lateral raise is to sweep out to the side, to the corners of the room. A lot of people, they'll focus on raising up. If I focus on raising up, this is gonna happen. I'm gonna shrug. That's actually gonna work my trap, not my side delt at all. So quit doing this and raising out, up. Think about raising out. Think about sweeping out to the side. That way we're gonna target our side delt, and our side delt is gonna be on top. Sweeping out to the corners of the room is something that I use for lateral raises, rear delts, is sweeping out to the side. That way you're getting the full tension on the side delt, and that is my little masterclass on lateral raises. Right, I'm gonna do my top set now. I'm only using 5 kg. With lateral raises, you don't need to go heavy at all. A lot of people, they'll pick too heavy a weight, their ego will get in the way and they'll swing all over the fucking place. So I'm gonna do my first set now. Nice, controlled, precise form. Let's go. Mastering the lateral raise is the best thing that you can do to grow your shoulders, all right? As I was doing the set, I had a couple other tips I can give you. When I'm doing the movement, I want my body to be flat on the bench. That way, I'm not cheating, my back's not arching, I'm not engaging other muscle groups. The whole point of lateral raise is put all the tension on this side delt. If you want to grow a side delt, you've got to put all the tension on there. You can't be doing front delts if you want to grow your side delts, right? Another bit of advice. When I'm doing the movement, a lot of people with lateral raises, they'll engage their back. They'll do a lot of this, engage their back, right? You want to minimize the tension on all the other muscle groups. So what I like to do is focus on keeping all my back muscles still. Raising out like this. See how my back's not moving? A lot of people, they'll do this to compensate for their weakness in their side delt. You want to keep everything locked in still. It's one of those very, very precise movements where you have to get everything in place to do it properly. It does take a while to master it. I'm not going to say that next time you go in the gym you're going to bang out a perfect set, but keep ticking along. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, especially if you're using the right form, which I'll just explain to you. Right, now we've done the dumbbell lateral raise. My favorite exercise for growing some big, wide shoulders. Now we're gonna move on to the machine shoulder press. Now, you can do this with dumbbells, you can do this with barbells, but if you've got a machine like this, it's gonna be a lot better because you can stay a lot more stable, everything's kind of fixed in place, especially if it's a good machine, it'll help. This is the main things I'm looking out for when I'm doing the shoulder press, right? First thing, I wanna be very stable. A lot of people, their feet, my brother actually does this. Yeah, and if you're watching this is what you're doing wrong. His feet will be like out here when he's doing the shoulder press. He'd be like shoulder pressing, his feet will be like fucking, it looks like he's swimming, right? So you want to plant your feet nice and stable. I just like a nice position like this, like you just sat down normally. Nice still, because then you can drive through the floor with your feet. Second thing, I want a tight and stable core, right? If I'm pressing, and like I'm leaning all over the place like this, it's not gonna be good. So you wanna keep a nice, stable core, back flat on the pad. The more you arch your back, it's gonna engage your upper chest. So keep your back flat on the pad and squeeze your abs so everything stays tight, locked in place, and you can press stably. Now, when it comes to the machine, you don't wanna pick a wide grip like this because then there's no tension on my shoulder. You don't wanna pick a grip too narrow either because then you're gonna blow out your shoulder. So a nice neutral position, just outside shoulder width, nice starting position, comfortable, and then you can press up. A lot of people, they'll have their elbows wide like this, it's gonna damage your rotator cuff. I like to bend them in a little bit so they collapse inwards. And then it gives me a nice stable pressing position. In terms of depth on a shoulder press, you don't wanna go down here because then you'll break your fucking shoulder. So press, nice, flat, comfortable position here where I can press and explode up, driving through my legs. Now my shoulders, I have the shoulder mobility of a 70-year-old man, so I especially don't want to go too deep, otherwise I'm really going to damage my shoulders. There have been times when I go too deep and it just fucks up my shoulder for ages, so be careful with the depth, make sure you're controlling everything, nice tempo. You know through all of my videos, tempo is very important, I'm not going to say it again. Just make sure you're controlling the movement, getting the stretch, getting the contraction, and you'll be sweet. Moving on to my second and final set on the shoulder press now. Had to up the weight because I got like fucking 30 reps in my last set. So this is going to be quite heavy, but I'm going to get it in. We're going to have to cut this set out. Right, cable lateral raise, my second lateral raise variation and my second favourite variation of the lateral raise. So we've done the dumbbell one already. You've already mastered that through my brilliant masterclass. Now I'm going to teach you how to do a cable one. The reason I like to do cable one is because you get a lot of tension throughout the whole movement, right? Whereas with dumbbells, through this part of the movement, you're getting no tension. Whereas on cable, the tension's the same the whole way through. So, first thing I do is set up the cable nice and low. You don't want it all the way at the bottom. Then I'm going to step over the cable so it's running in between my legs and take a step forward so I'm stood diagonal to the cable, right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this bar or whatever you want to call it. This is so I can stay stabilised throughout the movement. If I'm just stood freely like this, I'm going to end up wobbling all over the place, whereas this keeps me nice, disciplined, nice and stable. Second thing, same as the dumbbell, I'm going to raise kind of out in front of me but out to the side at the same time. I'm looking at keeping my arms straight and leading with my elbow and my pinky finger and sweeping out to the side. A lot of people, they'll do this. It's called a fucking shrug, not a raise. So you want to lean a little bit so you can get extra stretch at the bottom and then raise out to the side and upwards. Pretty similar to the dumbbell, but if you just watch my sets and then you get a feel for what it should look like, and then when you go in the gym and try it yourself, you should think, right, this is how Ben did it, he did this, and apply it to your own training, right? You can watch all these demos, but if you don't go in the gym and apply the knowledge that I'm giving you, it's useless. Right, so now we ticked off side delts, front delts, now we've got to do rear delts. As you can see, my rear delts have been neglected a little bit recently. So here's what I'm doing to bring them up. I'm going to start off by doing a rear delt row, I'll show you how to do that, then I'll do a rear delt fly, and I've got a nice superset with resistance bands for that as well. So rear delt row, I just like to set up the bench flat like this, then I'll just pick a fairly light weight for the demo. Nice stable position, thing with shoulders, you want to be in a nice stable position for every exercise. So notice how my feet's planted, my knees nice and planted on the bench. Literally all I'm going to do is lean over horizontally and then row out to the side. Now this isn't a row that you're doing for back, right? When I'm doing back, I'll do it like this, keep my elbow nice and close to my body. Whereas for rear delt, I'm focused on going out to the side and rowing more out to the side. That way my rear delt's popping. If you can zoom in on my rear delt, you can see how it's getting contracted at the top of the movement. Nice simple exercise, rowing out to the side. And notice how I'm not engaging my back at all. I'm not going like this. Nice fixed position like this. My back's not engaged at all. All tension's on my rear delt. So when I'm thinking about rear delt, I'm thinking of keeping my shoulder fixed in position and rowing out to the side. If my elbow's close to my body, if I'm moving my shoulder around, it's going to engage my back. If you want to lock in on your rear delt and focus in on that, keep your shoulder fixed in position. Now there are two ways you could do it. You can either keep your shoulder back and fixed in position, or you can keep your shoulder fixed forward. Personally, I just like to keep my shoulder fixed forward because if your shoulder's like this, you're more likely to engage your back. So keep your shoulder pinned forward and keep your scapula unretracted. If you watch my chest video, you know about that. So keep your shoulder like this and then row. It's all about keeping that shoulder fixed and letting that rear delt pop. If you don't know what the rear delt is and you've been living under a rock, it's this muscle on the back of your shoulder. It'll make your shoulders look a lot bigger, a lot wider, and just give it some density, if you know what I mean. Right, it's gonna be my first set on this row. I'm just gonna do 2 sets. Right, second exercise I'm doing for rear delts. I like to do a row to overload, get a bit of weight through the rear delts. Now I'm doing a fly. Now this is probably the exercise which is best for isolating your rear delts. So train it in a different way than a row will. So let me show you how to do it. First of all, pick a light weight. A lot of people, they go way too heavy. Same with every exercise, they go way too heavy and they look like a fucking clown. So pick a light weight, get the precise form. At the end of the day, it's an isolation exercise. We're not doing bench press. So cable set up just above shoulder height. Pretty standard, same as the chest fly. What I'll do, I won't put any attachment on the cable. I'll just grab the cable like this. Now what I like to do, I like to lean over a little bit. I just feel a better contraction when I lean over in my rear delts. And I'm just flying out to the side. What I'm thinking of doing is sweeping out to the corners of the room. A lot of people, they'll try and fly like back. That way you're rowing and you're engaging your back right. I want to keep my shoulders pinned in the same position, same as a row, and just flying out. See how my shoulders, they're not moving, they're not retracting like this. They're not engaging my back. They're keeping pinned forward. That way I can isolate my rear delt and get my rear delt to pop. Right, a little superset that I like to do on rear delts as well. So I've just burnt it out on the cable. Now I'll pick up a resistance band. You want a pretty heavy resistance band. All I'll do is fly out. It'll give you a nice squeeze and it'll just burn out the rear delts even more. Keep my shoulders pinned forward and my elbows flying out to the side. Right, so that is the session done. Side delts ticked off, front delts, shoulder press ticked off, rear delts ticked off. That is how you build balanced delts, right? So I've hit all 3 heads of my shoulders. Very important that you don't neglect any of your heads. So now I'm going to take you outside. I'll give you my 3 top tips to grow big, wide shoulders. Let's go. Right, 3 top tips for building bolder shoulders. Tip number 1, master the lateral raise. I gave you some pretty good demonstrations in there, which if you apply to your training, you're going to blow up your shoulders pretty quickly, right? If you're targeting your lateral raise, it's going to make your shoulders look wider, bolder. They're going to stand out a lot more. Most people don't know how to do a lateral raise properly, so master the lateral raise. That way you'll master the growth on your side delts. Very important. Second thing, train shoulders twice per week for maximum growth. A lot of people, they'll just tag shoulders on at the end of the push workout, tag some lateral raises on the end of their back workout. You need to specifically focus on your shoulders if you want to grow them. Same with every other muscle group. If you want to grow something, you need to target it over and over again, brick by brick, day by day, master the techniques, get good at understanding your body, what works best for you, what it responds best to. That way you're going to get better growth. Twice a week for optimal growth. Tip number 3, and that's balance all 3 heads in your training. Front delt, side delt, rear delt. Front delt through shoulder press, side delt through your lateral raises. I gave you 2 variations today. Then your rear delt as well. It's important that you do a row to get some more volume and get some more load through your rear delt. It also trains it in a different way. And I like to do a fly just to burn out, isolate the rear delt. So you need to balance all 3 into your training. Personally, I wouldn't do a shoulder day like this typically. I just did it for the video. But I train rear delts when I do back, then I'll do side delts when I do shoulders or chest, and then I'll do front delt the same day that I do chest or shoulders. Some days I'll just do shoulders and tricep, some days I'll just do chest, shoulders, tricep. It depends what my split is looking like. Right, that's it for today's video. If you gained something from the video, you found it funny, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to my channel. I've got one more episode in the series, and that is going to be focusing on arms. Drop me a comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next one.